Perfect. Welcome, guys. Tonight is a short session on studying with CSU, coming off the back of our digital marketing short course, and probably particularly, and this is the kind of plug for the business for us, is that we're running the actual university subject MKT 525 from November through to the end of January, the first week of February coming up, and it's a really good opportunity for those who really enjoyed the course to transfer some of that knowledge into an actual creditable master's degree and graduate certificate particularly. And I've got a little challenge for you at the end of my section, but you can do it beforehand if you're multi-screening, is to Google graduate certificate. Graduate certificate's a great way to think about starting some university work if you want to, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we get into it as well. So welcome along, everybody. Got some familiar names on the attendees list there. You can see that. I hope you did, and there's been plenty of feedback on our digital marketing course. The feedback was really good, and there's lots of things about it which we're definitely taking to new courses as we go to the future as well. And we're going to chip through that, plus we're going to talk about actual university kind of study and what CSU brings to the party. And tonight online we've got Jason Howarth, who is the course director and kind of liaison with IT Masters, particularly around all the IT and management products. And we've got Calvin Wang, who's based on the other side of the country for us, and he's the course director of the Masters of Management. And then James Hale and Margie Lau in Melbourne. So it's very much a national Australian deal, and I'm sure we've got people from all over the world, which we had in the real course as well. So welcome along to everybody tonight, and we'll dive into talking about a bit of stuff there as well. So clearly this is not the free online course because we've been there, done that, but it is about studying business at CSU, which is what I wanted to bring to the party. And for me, I'm very passionate about education, I suppose, and I did do my masters with CSU back in the late 90s over a couple of different years, and ended up with a Master of Management in General Management on the back of having done a marketing degree, undergraduate degree before that. And I suppose the thing that I wanted to bring to the party about that and this course, particularly before I get into the details of the digital marketing course, is that some people might frown at academic qualifications, and certainly I was probably from that kind of school a little bit, and certainly I started my educational career at TAFE, and I have a trade certificate, which then drove me into a university degree and then drove me into a master's, and I've had a bit of a look at a PhD, but unsuccessful in that space just yet. The master's degree, like nothing else that I've done in my life, will change the way you look at the world and the way you do things, and so it's a really valuable tool to put on the deck, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world and what's going on in your life, it'll just advance the way you think about things, the way you deal with things, the way you make decisions inside organizations, the way you make personal decisions. And certainly for me, it's been an absolute bonus because I'm essentially self-employed. I have a lot of flexibility in my life. I have lots of time for the things that I find important to me, so family and motorcycle riding and education, which is definitely part of my life as well. So I work in a really kind of rewarding and enjoyable space, and a lot of that's got to do with the fact that I've got a master's degree as well. So I'm definitely a fan for it, and if anyone's got any questions about that along the way tonight, feel free to ask them, and you can email me outside of this session as well. So the course that we did, the free online digital marketing course, was a snapshot at the actual subject that we run here at CSU called MKT, which stands for Marketing 525. And everything with a 500 number in the CSU world means that it's a master's level subject. And that just says that there's a higher degree of difficulty. There's a maturity expected as you go in to be able to do that kind of course. And certainly for CSU, where our graduates, I was going to say all of our graduates, but our graduates are largely, and we're in the top 2 universities in Australia for delivering practically employable university graduates, and that's a really, really powerful thing. And I also saw something the other day that our graduates from CSU graduate on higher salaries than most other universities. Yes, it was only a small amount when averaged out, but we're at the top of that list as well. So CSU particularly brings practical, usable academic work to your desktop, to your whatever device you're using, and pitches it to you in a way that you can turn that into practical things that help you get ahead in the world at a personal and at a career level. And I'm really excited to be part of that thing because I think that's so important. Lots of stuff in the academic world can be slightly less than practical, but things that I definitely bring to the party and lots of my colleagues do is making it work for you in the workplace, in your organisation, and your personal life. So that's kind of what that's about. So in November, about the I have to look at my calendar there because I've to look at that beforehand. It's about the 16th actually of November. We're going to kick off what we call the summer session. So it's called 2015-90, and we'll run MKT 525 as an academic 12-week credit course across that period of time, across Christmas through January, and the final assessments are due in the first week of February for that particular course as well. So it's a tight window, and it's kind of funny time of the year for people because you're either full on with social and you know, family and probably holidays and lots of those sort of things if you're in that space, which is good, or you find yourself in a place at work where there's a little bit of spare time. It's not so hectic with customers and all those sort of things, and often people can fit in a bit of study. And again, the way I've structured the course, which I'll talk about in 1 second there, is about fitting in over a busy kind of summer period in Australia here as well. And I'm hoping that works for people in other parts of the world as well. So we looked at a snapshot of the course, and we've got a few more interesting things and a few more kind of more academic things to do in the real course. Over the period of time, the content is expanded, so you get a little bit more time to think about things and absorb it and work with it and those kind of things. And particularly, I've designed over the summer session a particular assessment program, which kind of cascade on top of each other, but I think they're really useful. And particularly the second assessment, I think, is going to be fun for people to do and engaging for people to get involved with this year. The first one, which is due in early in the session, about first week of December, is about a discussion forum post. So again, electronic submission, you can do it from anywhere in the world and do that. And it's about defining, describing, and contextualizing issues with digital marketing. Everybody who's done this course will be well and truly on top of that one before they get going as well. Nice, easy one. We know you're in the course. Make some relationships. We do that in a public space, so everybody gets to learn from all the everybody's posts and kind of interaction in that space. And you're welcome, like you have in the IT Masters Forum, to comment on and kind of critique and work with people to come up with better solutions, better definitions, better ways of understanding things as well. The second one, which we haven't done before in this subject that I'm aware of, is that I've got about 11 key topics in digital marketing, which I'm going to allocate amongst different students, and we're going to build a shared, probably a document, probably a Google Doc. So again, you'll be able to access it from anywhere in the world. There's a slight chance, but I'm just working that out, it could be a blog or even a website as well. But the Google Docs are very good now because people can edit at exactly the same time and see people editing and in work as well. So it's likely to be a shared doc, but again in a public domain where you're going to build content on one of probably 11 topics. And then over the period to the due date of that assignment, you know, you've probably got anywhere between at the moment about 16 and probably 35 students building content around these 11 key topics. It'll become a huge resource, an amazing resource, both for you as a digital marketer and somebody aspiring to be a digital marketer or working in that space as well, as you get maybe, you know, between 16 and 35 minds sharing information into this one space, which everybody has access to, and I'll market from there as well. And then that particular kind of shared document becomes an input and a resource you can use for your digital marketing plan, which, like we did in the free online course, is a kind of more accessible piece, I suppose, towards building a digital marketing plan for the business you're working in, for the business you aspire to work for a business that you dream about doing one day. And so it's really practical, really engaging, and I guess in February, if it's your business or if it's a business you're aspiring to do something for, you should be presenting this plan to that business by February. So again, really practical application, integrated with theory, shared learning, shared spaces, and hopefully fun, engaging, and valuable with academic credits attached to it, and one step, one subject in something that can ultimately change your life. So please keep that in mind when you're thinking about what am I going to do over Christmas this year, and certainly from your, probably your smartphone, definitely your tablet device, from your fishing boat, you might be able to pull all those things together. So that'd be kind of fun. Particularly important about the course that we did online, which is, you know, even still today, more important than it was yesterday and when we're doing the course, is this kind of digital customer journey thing. And some of the things I'll talk about when we finish, which is some of the stats that came out of the way we ran the course, the engagement levels, the results, and all those kind of things. We've learned quite a lot of stuff. For marketers or people who are thinking about marketing, and I know there's a lot of IT people who are involved in the session tonight, and certainly their aspirations and their work is in the IT field. The marketing kind of concept and the concept of customer journey and all these different touch points is really critically important. And I'm betting that all of you guys, since we've done the course, have critiqued someone else's work. And certainly I saw one the other day, which was posted on the CSU internal Yammer site. You know, it was from a research person, and it was just a link with no explanation. It was a really bad communication. And it was only because I knew the person that I clicked on that link and found some really useful information. So we've got to make the touch points work for us. We've got to communicate really well, and that's really what marketing is all about. And certainly myself and other guys at CSU and IT Masters will be talking more about how we can get more people thinking and dreaming and kind of living the marketing orientation out to make things happen. So hopefully that's been valuable in your course, and as you've been engaging with media, engaging with people's products and services, then that's been a useful thing for you. And certainly I'm hoping that it'll permeate your life in a whole range of ways. Like we do in the, we have done in the short course, and this is just a snapshot of the window that we looked at in the short course, we run a schedule of events for the academic subjects as well, the credit-based subjects, and it's mapped out over a kind of 12-week schedule for the summer session with some review at the end and a final assessment piece due as well. But it's doable, which is really the important part about this, is that we can we break things down in a way that are kind of incremental and allow you to fit in personal life, work life, assessments due, it's Christmas, parties you've got to go to, and all of those sort of things. And you can kind of work through it, and you can work with the material, and certainly anybody who's done the free online course has got a, you know, at least a 30% kind of intro into the course to make things happen and understand the kind of things that we need to talk about and what we need to research to do our assignments and those kind of things. But certainly doing distance study, which can be perceived as quite difficult, is doable in the CSU network. And CSU has lots of support people, lots of support technology, and supportive lecturers and course coordinators and all those sort of things to make study flow more easily and far more achievable in your life. So please keep that in mind as you're moving forward and thinking about things as well. The other thing we do in the courses is provide lots and lots of resources. So again, one reason to the academic credit point based course would be to get access to even more resources than what we used within the digital free online course, and get them more in context, get the ability to discuss about them with like-minded people, get more and more, as I've scheduled my kind of assessment patterns, get more and more people contributing to topics, and that way you can stay closer to the kind of the cutting edge or the bleeding edge maybe of ideas. Certainly you can critique things. Certainly not everyone has all the information, and I guess, you know, noting Richard was very vocal on the forum for the digital marketing one, and he brought some really good points for which I didn't know about, and he solved problems for other people which had questions in that space too. So certainly within our courses we do a lot to kind of co-construct and co-produce content for the courses and send you out the other end feeling particularly confident about things and having a resource to look at to make that happen. This was our template which we put together for the course as well, and I think most people who used it found it useful. It certainly provided a really good structure for us to do the course. We'll be using the same template as the final assessment piece for the academic credit course when it runs at the end. So the final assignment will be based heavily around this. Plus we've got the advantages of having a textbook by David Chaffee, which is the Smart Insights guy as well, and lots of other discussions which help make this make more sense than in the very short time we had to discuss it in the free online course. So that's there for you. This particular template now has got a kind of voiceover. It's been converted to video, and it's up on YouTube on that link, and I believe Margie's going to make this presentation available as well. So that'll be a clickable link for you to make that one happen, and you can work from there as well. And certainly, as Rowan's just asked, we have questions afterwards. We're going to have questions tonight after each individual section and towards the end as well. So feel free to save your questions up for them or punch them in the chat box, and Margie and James will curate them for you as well now, and we can get to them as we need to. Perfect. So some of the stuff that we've learned about the course was that guest speakers worked a treat, and not only was it had fun when we're in the virtual situation. So Alicia was in Sydney, and we spoke about the digital marketing plan and her experiences and things she's working on in that space. That was good. But for a couple of nights we had Richard and then James in my, changed my name from the office now to the studio, and it worked really well, and people enjoyed that change of tone and that change of speed and that new point of view to make that work as well. The other thing which we'll be doing more of, which was fantastic and again super engaging, and we saw stuff in Twitter particularly. We probably might do some more stuff to make it work in Facebook next time as well, that we couldn't explain and get across couldn't get across within the short tight time frames that we had in the online sessions as well. And so if you are interested, or if you're following the I Get Digital hashtag is still running, I personally have been dominating that a little bit because I've just been posting different stuff which has got digital significance, but there's other people still in the chain, and certainly over the period of the course we probably handled there somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 tweets and posts around content which was discussed in the course. So it added an extra dimension to, I guess, the education that was available in that particular place, which is very exciting, and it's coolly very digital, which is really nice for us as well. Third one down there is people who studied the course were from all walks of life, and that was the most amazing thing and certainly the most rewarding thing as well, that not only did we have people from around the world, but we had people with all sorts of opportunities in front of them in terms of business and whereabouts it fitted in their workplace. Sometimes it was a very internal thing to make it work in their internal thing. Other people clearly have a job that they're not that excited about, and they were working on a way to exit that, and hopefully we've given them some information to get that happening as well. Other people had stuff on the side that they were working on, from curating art and art galleries and exhibitions to probably music and a range of things as well. So that's been really cool for me, that we've had so many people from different things but brought together under the banner of the digital and the marketing thing particularly. So that worked out well, and we're again doing more things to encourage that diversity and that interest as well. The next point, which I'm a little bit concerned about, is that more people watch me on YouTube than they did live, so I'm not sure if that's about the ability to fast forward and pause at your discretion, or maybe they like the advertising that was inserted into it as well. Either way, YouTube's been a really valuable part, and I've got some stats on that coming up in a second as well. People noted they did like the fresh content, and everything that we brought to the party is very fresh. And I think in hindsight, after we've done the academic credit-based course at the end of the year, is that the free online courses brought, I worked down to minutes before, as much as other people were frustrated by that, minutes before we went to air with new materials and new things that were happening. In an academic course, you probably won't get that stuff quite that fresh, but you'll get models and tools and other things to look at it, which will help you get through the course. And when you combine fresh plus theory plus practical plus models, etc., to make that work, you end up with a really kind of holistic learning experience, which is really good. And the last thing on this page, which was kind of interesting, is that IT masters are the masters in the kind of IT education space, and they're very, very strong in that space. And a few of the stats that came up in the course review that's been done highlighted that the marketing course brought a large number of new people to their database. So it was outside the kind of scope of normal business for us. So we've also learned from that, and we'll be doing some more stuff in the future to enhance who we talk to, what we talk about, how we deliver content accurately to them, what kind of language we use when we promote our emails and all those kind of things. And so digital marketing's been a learning experience on the inside as well. Just a couple of graphs which came out of a course review which the IT Masters guys did, which was good. Interestingly enough, we're a little bit behind on a number of people who completed the kind of exit survey, which is good, but still a significant number of people at 117, which is kind of nice. Really stoked. I'm really stoked that the course satisfaction's up around 90%, so we've actually raised the bar there. So some of my colleagues will probably be going, man, we better get our acts together, and certainly I'll be getting my act together next time I do one to make sure I don't fall behind on that front as well. And certainly people enjoyed the way we curated the content with the guest speakers, which is what that kind of next stat is. And I guess part of the free online course learning experience is that people, well, yeah, maybe there's more we could do here, and definitely tonight that's what we're here to talk about. A couple of other things there too. This was just the attendees of the sessions, and just as we run down, and the June 25th date was when we launched the video for the course introduction. and so it's sitting up on YouTube with the other content as well, and it continues to grow in kind of views, and about 50% of the people enrolled in the course have seen that video. In fact, it's a little bit more than that now, so we're probably about 52 or 53%, which is kind of good. Weekly, first week is big, second week drops off a bit, and fourth week is down in numbers as well. But you can see the impact on YouTube. We've got a lot of views there, and certainly since the first week's course, more than double the number of people have watched in that media. And I guess that really highlights to us that people learn in all kinds of different ways, and people learn at all kinds of different times of day in the global kind of economy, as it would be as well. And so making content available in a range of palatable formats is really, really important. So that's definitely an outtake of this course for us as well. Probably one thing I do next time, which would be important, is I think the average session time in minutes there is really high, and I think that provides a bit of a barrier to people sticking all the way through, and maybe we'd be better off running 5 or 6 shorter sessions, and again, more topically driven sessions rather than kind of longer sessions. But that's just something I'm taking on board for next time we do things as well. So yeah, I hope you're interested in those stats and how they work out as well. So I'm just going to hand over to Jason in a second, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about how CSU operates and kind of how the courses come together for that. And certainly I can field a few questions in between times. But I just wanted to drive the course. As I said, I'm a CSU graduate, and it's been a major movement in my life to have finished my masters. And it took about 12, 18 months after that it happened, and then just weird things happen. I was a bit of a slave to the career ladder pre then, and maybe possibly even a corporate psychopath in nature a little bit, but coming out of that, now coming out of my masters, my game, my world, my knowledge base, my decision-making capability changed dramatically, and it's opened up opportunities that never would have presented themselves to me if I didn't have that particular qualification, as it would be as well. So I recommend that people do academic study, and I think the first and the fastest, easiest way to get into that is with grad certs. And if you do a Google on grad certs, and yes, I'm a CSU fan. I'm very loyal to this brand. I think we bring lots of things to the party, but check out what the options are in that space first, and then check out whether CSU stacks up. And you're a clever decision maker, so you'll be able to work out how that works out. But check that out, because grad cert is a great toe in the water to a master's degree, being the first 4 subjects of a master's degree, and a great way to get your career, your life, your community, your family into a different place than where you are today. So that's good. A couple of email addresses up that. I'm sure Jason and Calvin will reinforce those as we go through. So there you go. I Get Digital, and we've been working lots with that. It has been my pleasure to present the course. So thank you very much for everybody's involvement, for their tweets, for all the cool things that you brought, the discussions on the IT Masters Forum as well. And I look forward to doing another one with you guys in the future. So if anybody's got any questions, now's a good time if you want to ask me specifically, but I'll be around for the session. You can ask me a little bit later as well. And failing that, I'm going to hand over to Jason, and he'll show you his screen, and I'll be listening in the background as well. So thanks very much, guys.
So I'm just going to put this through to Jason now.
Thanks, Muggy. Well done.
Okay, thank you, Margie, and thanks to Andrew, and a great job with the short course. A lot of positive feedback about that one. So can I just quickly test that people can hear me okay? If I can get a couple of show of hands through the go-to console. There we go, hands, beautiful. Okay, so welcome along everyone to our session tonight. A little bit of everything, but what I really want to talk about, and my name is there on the screen, that's a picture of me, Jason Howarth. I'm a course director at Charles Sturt, and I'm responsible for managing the computing courses within the Charles Sturt portfolio. So managing, marketing, helping to design, and issues around accreditation, everything to do with our computing portfolio at CSU, I help to manage that. So my email address is there on screen. If you do want to contact me by email, feel free to drop me a line. And tonight, really, what I'm going to talk about is 2 things. First of all, talking about what CSU can do for you generally and what it's like to be a student at Charles Sturt University studying by distance education. Second thing will be really about how the mini MOOC or the short course that you've done on digital marketing can be used essentially as a way into one of our master's programs, even if you don't have a bachelor's degree. Okay, so they're the two main points. As Andrew was speaking, it occurred to me that what we're doing here, I guess it's occurred to you, is what we're doing here is obviously marketing. And when you look at the sort of the AIDA marketing model, you know, attention, interest, desire, action, at the top of the funnel, it's very broad. A lot of people attend our short courses. A few of those might be interested in hearing a message like this about what CSU courses are like, and a few further down the funnel might be interested in enrolling. So it really is like a marketing cycle that we're participating in now. But from your point of view, you know, we're offering here a great product, a great opportunity, and one of the things I'm going to do tonight is basically try and convince you that if you're ready for it, a master's or indeed a graduate certificate is really a great next step. So Charles Sturt was founded as a university in 1989. Before that, it was a collection of teachers' colleges. It came together under reforms within the Hawke government in 1989, and we're a regionally based university. So we have campuses in Orange, Bathurst, Wagga, Albury, Port Macquarie, and although we certainly have students who attend our campuses, and there are photos of those on the screen, the bulk of our students study by distance education. So we are predominantly an online distance education provider, and that goes right back into our history. So the subject that you've done, before we start to look at some more statistics around CSU, the subject that you've done, MKT or digital marketing, is based on the MKT subject 525. That particular subject appears in a number of our courses. So I guess what I'm trying to convince you here tonight is that by enrolling into one of these courses on the screen, and maybe starting out with the digital marketing subject, you'll be in a really good position to get off to a good start with your study. You'll be reasonably familiar with some aspects of the topic area. Obviously, the actual subject goes into the broader and deeper lengths in terms of the material, but you'll be familiar and off to a good starting point. So MKT 525 features in those courses on the screen. I'm going to talk about the Master of Management IT tonight. Then I'm going to hand over to Calvin, who's going to talk about the Master of Marketing and the Master of Business Leadership. You could also do the marketing subject as a single standalone subject as well. It doesn't necessarily need to be part of a course. I would recommend, however, that you do it as part of a course because it costs nothing to do it that way. Okay, so the Master of Management Information Technology, which is the course that I'm talking about, it does have digital marketing available as an elective unit within that program. And this is a good example of what a professional master's, particularly in IT, looks like at CSU. So it consists of 12 subjects. So most of our masters are 12 subject masters. The good thing about that is that these days we offer 3 sessions a year, and even studying at a part-time rate of 2 sessions two subjects per session, you will finish your masters part-time in 2 years quite comfortably. If you want to ramp things up, you could finish it in a shorter time period than that, but certainly possible to do a master's 2 years part-time. So the Master of Management IT, where's it pitched? Effectively, it's pitched at IT professionals who are looking to move into a middle management role, or who have moved into such a role, and they're starting to maybe have less to do with actual technology and hardware and more to do with managing people. But that's not their whole job. Their whole job is still very much IT specific, but it has a management aspect. So this course is really pitched at people coming from that demographic. So at CSU, you'll note this term core subjects in most of our programs. So the Master of Management has 7 core subjects, and those subjects every student in this program must do. So you can see at the top there you've got human resource management. So you've got stuff there about strategic management and human resource planning, occupational health and safety, and so on. Another subject there in the core, MGT 501, management theory and practice. So that's really looking at the foundational and fundamental kind of management and organisational theories that you would need to study to really get your head across all of those different areas, and later to develop that knowledge by specialising in different areas. Management of change is fairly self-explanatory, really all about organisational change issues. Strategic management is a subject where you're looking at the key practical and theoretical aspects of strategy. So you're doing stuff in that subject around strategic analysis, formulation of business level and corporate level strategies, as well as implementation and evaluation skills. Okay, another subject in the core, marketing management, very similar, I guess, in many ways in terms of themes to what you've been doing in the last month or so, all about concerned with identifying, entering and developing markets and aligning the organisation's resources to achieve its goals. So you're looking at things like market orientation, services, products, solutions and brands, positioning, marketing communications and so on. The final core subject there is professional communications, and as the name suggests, it really is about basically being able to communicate across a lot of different mediums using to a variety of different audiences. So within that subject, you're looking at business language and document writing, you're looking at digital presentations, you're looking at live presentations such as public speaking, and you're looking at things like creating business proposals and reports. Okay, so it looks at the whole gamut of communications. So that's the core set of subjects within that particular course. You also get to choose one elective. Now, I've put up on screen there digital marketing, but there are a host of other possible elective subjects you can choose there depending on where you want to specialise. And another feature of the course is you then choose 4 subjects from a distinct specialisation area, which at the moment we have 3 that deal with IT security, with networking and systems admin, and project management. All of those specialisation subject areas, most of those subjects are based around a particular industry certification. So the curriculum from a particular industry certification. So, for example, within the information systems security specialisation, there is a subject that's based around the CISSP, Certified Systems Professional certification. There's another subject that's built around the Certified Ethical Hacker certification. Another one still built around the Hacking Forensic Investigator certification from EC Council. So those 4 industry subjects on the right there, those specialisation subjects, are really very specifically focused on the area that you will specialise in. Within networking and systems administration, further down the page, there'll be certificates or subjects there that align with particular industry certifications such as VMware, the VMware Certified Professional, and Windows Server, and so on. Another one there, another specialisation being project management, where there's strong alignment with things such as the Project Management Institute certification series. So there's also subjects built around the Agile method and Prince 2. So one of the other good aspects or spin-offs is that if you do have one of those certifications, for example the CISSP or VMware, then you're eligible for credit against those particular subjects in that course. That's the Master of Management. You can see down the bottom that the Grad Cert in Management, Information Technology, is also available, and effectively that graduate certificate is just a subset of the Masters. We'll talk about that in a moment. Why would you want to go into a graduate certificate first? But just summarising some of the benefits about CSU and why you would be looking to enrol with us. We're one of the leading providers of distance education courses in Australia. You get to graduate, if you come out of a Masters or indeed a Grad Cert, you get to graduate with a prestigious postgraduate award. Don't put down how valuable that is as it appears on your resume. Apart from any personal development reasons, the fact is it will open doors for you. The course itself is designed to be studied part-time by distance education, so it is designed with that in mind. CSU has a very interactive online study environment. I think you've sampled some of the kinds of technologies that we use within the short course by Andrew. Use of synchronous presentations such as this one is a key feature of most of our subjects within these courses. 3 sessions a year, so it really means if you're studying or able to study 3 sessions in a year, you can really fast-track completion of these awards. Another important point worth mentioning is that if you have industry experience but no undergraduate degree, there's no need for you to go out and do a sort of a 6-year part-time bachelor's program. There is a pathway option for you via the graduate certificate straight into the master's. So please, if you do have that experience within the industry, and we're typically talking minimum 3 years, but preferably around about 5 years in some kind of a senior level role, then we would welcome you into the course. Okay, and as Andrew's mentioned a couple of times, session 3 starts on November 16. Enrolment is now open. For those of you who are really keen, don't want to watch the rest of the presentation, www.csu.edu.au/apply. You can do that online. So let's just have a look at the CSU Statistical Profile quickly. CSU has around about 39,000 students enrolled as at 2014. 22,000 of those, or more than 22,000 of those, were distance education students. So they're our main demographic. In 2014, over 8,000 of those students were enrolled in higher degree coursework programs. And they're the exact type of programs we're talking about tonight, the Masters by Coursework and the Graduate Certificate. In 2014, we had over 9,000 students effectively completing their course and gaining an award. And in terms of the size of the organisation, CSU employs just under 1,000 full-time academic staff. That's not counting any part-time staff that we have. So, you know, CSU is a massive organisation, and it's to survive and thrive, it needs to be the best at what it does. And that's particularly the case with distance education. Now, in terms of qualification and the qualification hierarchy, so you get a master's, where are you situated in the overall hierarchy of academic qualifications? Well, you're right at the very top, almost. So you can see there you've got undergraduate. Under undergraduate, you can imagine that TAFE study appears. Under TAFE study, or maybe equal with TAFE study, you will have sort of year 12. But then you move to undergraduate, which is your bachelor's level programs. You then move up into your graduate certificates and graduate diplomas. From there into your masters. And finally, at the very top level of the qualification hierarchy is your doctorate, where you get to be called doctor. Typically, doctorates are more useful for people considering a career in academia. So if you're in the workplace, an industry professional with a master's, you're going to be at the top level in terms of competitors, in terms of what you have as an academic qualification. Not many of them are going to have doctorates. Most of those people end up in academia. So we're sort of looking here at the very top of the hierarchy. In terms of pathways, how do you get into these master's programs? There's typically 3 ways to do that. One is that you have an undergraduate degree either in a related or an unrelated discipline. So you're looking maybe to get into the Master of Management IT, and you have an undergraduate degree in IT, well, you'd be straight in. I mean, there's no issue there. A bachelor's degree gets you into a master's degree. In some cases, you need a bachelor's degree in the same discipline. That's not the case with these courses. We're really after more the experience component. But if you have experience but no undergraduate degree, and that's not an uncommon pathway for people who've ended up in maybe some really high-profile roles, we also have a pathway for you directly into the masters without doing an undergraduate program. Okay, so looking at our entry requirements, and these are generic, so you need to sort of look at individual courses to determine whether they apply in any particular instance. But access into a graduate certificate or graduate diploma is either through a bachelor's or through professional experience, which is typically 3+ years. Access to a master's is a bachelor's degree or higher. So what that means is going through the grad cert, completing that gets you automatic entry into the masters. If you are sort of curious about whether you're eligible or not, there are a number of ways you can find out. I mean, you can apply online at CSU. You can also shoot us an email if you want us to sort of pre-assess credit or determine whether you're eligible or not. In terms of the graduate certificate, is going via that pathway any disadvantage? And the answer is provided effectively by this slide. The answer is no, because what happens, how the graduate certificates are organised, is that they're essentially subsets of the masters. So let's say you come to CSU and you've got 8 years working in a senior, let's say, IT role, and you want to get into a master's. We would say, okay, on the basis of that experience, let's put you into the graduate certificate, which is 4 subjects. If you successfully complete that, that effectively counts as 4 subjects away from your master's, leaving 8 subjects to complete for your master's. So it's kind of like a testing ground for your master's, but you're not losing anything in terms of subjects. You don't have to do more subjects to get to your ultimate goal. And I guess one of the benefits is that in the end, you're going to graduate with 2 awards. You come out with a graduate certificate plus a master's. So studying by distance. At CSU, the days of sort of print packages and mail packages and sending stuff back by envelopes is of course long over. Everything that we do now is supported by technology. All of your subject outlines, your interaction with your classmates and your lecturers is all online. Plus we use a number of teaching tools, typically communication tools within each individual subject site to be able to either listen to the lecturer or communicate with other people in the class. So the environment that we use is called Interact, or Interact 2 in fact. We're up to version 2, and it has tools such as the ability for lecturers to share podcasts, webinars. It has a forum space there, basically a chat board where you can ask questions and talk with other students. There are other tools such as blogs. It really depends on individual academics, how they use those particular social networking style tools in order to run their subject. But certainly with every subject that you get enrolment to, all of this stuff will be online. You'll have a password and you'll have access to all of these materials. Assignment submission is all online, so everything is transacted digitally. Study materials and study modules are pretty much all online now. We also have an online library with a fairly big range of e-books and e-journals. So the traditional model of education is changing rather radically. It is moving very much to a distance online dedicated environment where there's no need necessarily for most courses to ever set foot on a university campus. You still graduate, you get the same award as someone who does attend university, but it's all done via computer. Flexibility is another one that I want to briefly talk about. As working people, we all have busy lives, social, work lives, private lives. Our courses do allow a lot of flexibility in terms of either cutting back the number of subjects that you study. So 2 subjects is kind of the recommended load that I've mentioned. You can cut back to just 1 subject in a session. You can even take complete sessions of absence. So you can decide that, look, I don't really want to study over Christmas because I'm going on a holiday with family. There's not an issue with that. You just tell us and you can have that complete session off and recommence your degree at the next session when it's offered. Okay, so you kind of put on hold. You can fast track, those of you who are impatient and really want to get your award out of the way. There's nothing to stop you from studying more than 2 subjects in a session. We do expect students who fast track to make progress. If you're going to start studying 3 and 4 subjects in a session, effectively a full-time load, and you start failing them a lot, we might say, look, it's probably not in your best interest to do that. But as long as you're going well, you can also fast track your study. There's other options available, such as if you start a master's and you get sick of it after 4 subjects, there's typically options for you to exit that program with a graduate certificate or some other award, such as a graduate diploma. So lots of flexibility built into the courses. In terms of time commitment, you basically need to work on the assumption that every subject that you enroll in is going to take you about 10 hours per week of commitment. Now that's not going to be sort of a regular every week 10 hours. Some weeks it'll be 15, some weeks it'll be sort of 7. It really depends on assessment time is normally more busy than say the start of the session, but roughly work on the fact that every subject you undertake is pretty much 10 hours commitment per week. If you're doing the standard 2 subject enrolment, then you need to be able to find 20 hours a week to be able to get on top of those subjects and do them justice. Credit is another big question from students, particularly it cuts down the length and the cost of the course. Credit may be available for previous postgraduate study. Now that first point is actually wrong. There was a point when we did allow credit for undergraduate study completed in the IT discipline. That's no longer the case. Okay, so there's really only two ways to get credit now for postgraduate study. One is either you've done previous postgraduate study at some other institution, or particularly within the IT sphere, you've done some kind of industry certification that aligns with our content. So I mentioned before some certifications. If you've, for example, completed the Windows Server 2012 certification, then you would potentially be able to get credit for that into the Master of Management IT. We don't give credit for work experience, so-called proficiency credit. Effectively, on the basis of work experience, you're getting access to the Masters, so we don't actually credit that work experience. Okay, someone before mentioned cost. There's two costs in that there's one session left to go in 2015. Come 2016, the cost is going to go up. So at the moment, the cost per subject in 2015 is $2,700 for Australian and New Zealand students. For international students studying offshore by DE, the cost is $2,900 per subject. No steak knives, Rohan. These fees are what we call grandfathered, so they don't go up in terms of base fee increases. There could be some small CPI shifts. So the benefit in enrolling in 2015 rather than 2016 is that from next year the cost per subject is going to go up $300 per subject. Okay, so just if you're on the borderline thinking I want to enrol but not sure this year or next year, I guess I'm just pointing out that if you do it for session 3 this year, you're going to save over the course of a 12 subject masters, you're going to save $3,600. The cost of textbooks is included in that price. In addition to those prices, there's also a small student services and amenities fee, particularly or roughly in the range of about $34 per subject. Now you might also be eligible for a loan to help pay your tuition fees through the government fee help program, which effectively allows you to defer payment of your fees. You can do a search on fee help, but certainly if you apply or want any further information about fee help, you can drop us a line. I'm not an expert on fee help. It tends to be the people working in our admissions and student administration department. But if you do want any more information on fee help, I'm happy to be the contact person there and to pass you along to the right contact within CSU. Okay, so look, if you do have any questions about what I've spoken about tonight, there's a variety of different contacts there. Master of Management IT, I'm the course director. You can contact me, jhoward@csu.edu.au. The IT Masters contact, Neil McCosh, neil.mccosh@itmasters.edu.au is another great contact if you're considering one of the IT programs that we talked about tonight or any of the other associated programs. The eligibility survey, which I've managed to sort of displace on the slide, is down here under the Master of Marketing. If you're wondering whether you're eligible and how much credit you might get, you can go to itmasters.edu.au/am I eligible, and you can fill in a very quick form and it will let you know, first of all, whether you're eligible and also how much credit you might receive. Calvin Wang's email address, Calvin's going to talk shortly when I hand over to him, cwang@csu.edu.au, and right down the bottom, for those who are really keen, you can apply online at the /apply URL attached to the csu.edu.au address. Okay, so thanks very much everyone for hearing me out. I'm going to send over to Calvin now, but is there the opportunity for any questions? Question there from Rohan. Online isn't necessarily, Rohan, a cheaper a cheaper mechanism for course design. In fact, in many ways, designing good online courses is something that takes an enormous amount of time and an enormous amount of resources. So if you're going to get your online courses right, then they are not necessarily something that is quick or cheap to produce. They're very labour intensive. Okay, so Jennifer's started with CSU, at CSU with a grad cert in 2008 and is now finalising her second master's. So great work. Good on you, Jennifer. And obviously you found that to be a positive experience.
Sorry, can you hear me, Jason?
Yep.
Yep. So earlier, Richard asked, this may be a question for Calvin as well. I'm not sure who would be more appropriate, but he wanted to know if there were any scholarship awards connected to any of the courses that we will be discussing tonight.
I'm not aware of any for the IT Masters, Richard. I'm not aware of any scholarship programs specifically that are offered through CSU for IT Masters. Typically scholarships are more aimed at undergraduate students. That's my experience, at bachelor's level programs for undergraduate students. But maybe Calvin can also answer that from the point of view of his courses.
Hello? Hi.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, good, thank you. I would say I would go with Jason in terms of his answers. We don't have any specific scholarships associated or linked to the courses that we're talking about tonight. But having said that, do have a look at the scholarship page and go through, and there's quite an extensive list of scholarships. So although they may not be specifically related to a particular course, they could be specifically related to your personal situation, if that makes sense. And so you could get a scholarship that way.
Okay, so look, no other questions. I might hand over to Calvin. He can talk about the Master of Marketing and the Master of Business Leadership. Then we might come back at the end for a general Q&A. So Calvin, over to you.
Thanks, Jason.
Just making Calvin the presenter now.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Jason, and thanks everybody for hanging on this evening. So I'm Calvin, and I'm the course director at Charles Sturt University. So like Jason, I have a portfolio of courses that I manage, and while Jason looks after predominantly IT, I look after predominantly the business area, so management, marketing, leadership, HR type of degrees. Tonight, I just wanted to go very quickly with you over a couple of my courses. So the two in particular will be the Master of Marketing and the Master of Business Leadership. Happy to take any questions you have, either in this session or else outside the presentation. So why the Master of Marketing? But I guess before I jump into the actual course, some of you might be asking why you should enroll in a marketing degree, or you might ask yourself why you want to enroll in a marketing degree. A couple of reasons which I hope would resonate with you. So marketing is a very integral function in all successful organizations. It's a major function in all companies that are large, that are strong, that have longevity, and maybe not even longevity, because a lot of new startups are very successful because they have very strong marketing functions. So what this means for marketing students and marketing graduates is that there's lots of opportunities out there for people looking for marketing work, for companies looking for marketers, and for people looking for marketing work. Companies spend a huge amount of resources. They spend huge amount on people, time, money on marketing. And when times are good, so when we are in strong economic times, businesses tend to to ramp up their marketing spend, to increase sales, to expand market share, to also to counteract, what their competitors are doing very aggressively in this very same booming economic environment. Now, conversely, when times are bad, so when there's a downturn, and when we're tending to struggle, when we're going into weak economic times, businesses have to scale up marketing again because they want to protect sales, they want to protect market shares, they also want to try and maintain production levels. So on this basis, it doesn't matter what the economic cycle is doing, there will always be a demand for good marketers. Marketing is highly challenging, highly competitive, highly creative. So in this example, how do you take a $14.99 paperback and turn it into a $25 billion industry? You do it through very clever marketing. You do it through very clever product extensions. So from books to movies to DVDs to games, and then through to toys and merchandising. And then the ultimate would be having a really huge Harry Potter theme park in Orlando. So lots and lots of possibilities, and you can go as high as imagination can take you to. So how great, I guess, in terms of job fulfillment, how great to be part of that journey and to be part of something so successful. Marketing provides a lot of international opportunities. And not just international opportunities, but also opportunities with major corporations, with major brands, major international brands as well. So if you're looking for these sorts of opportunities, lots of them out there. And it doesn't matter whether you've been with BP or whether you've been with Harley and then you're moving into a bank. Marketing is all about communication, and the fundamentals are the same. So the skills that you pick up in a marketing course, in a marketing degree, can easily be transferable across different industries, across different products, across different organization types. And I'll come to that in the next slide. So you're not wedded to the corporate, to corporate businesses who only work for profit. Marketing gives you opportunities across many diverse sectors. So you can work for profits. Yep. Sure, but you can also work for the not-for-profits. You can work for governments. You can work for sports codes, sporting groups, arts, music, conservation. You can do anything that has the ability to change people's lives for the better. So coming into the Master of Marketing, this is our CSU course. It comprises 12 subjects in total. If you look at the structure, 9 of them are compulsory, 3 of them are electives, which means that this is the last 3 sections are the last 3 subjects are enrichment or broadening subjects. So, yep, we want you to come and study the Master of Marketing, but we also provide you with the opportunity to enrich yourself, to broaden your knowledge, to pick up, skills that you need particular to your employment. So you could pick up a few of Jason's IT subjects to add to this degree. You could pick up accounting or management or HR, anything that makes sense to you and that has value to your career. So in terms of the CSU degree, Jason has mentioned Jason has mentioned quite a few benefits already. So again, I'd like to reiterate, it's fully online, it's fully flexible, and this particular course has been fully refreshed. So why pickers? You can study anywhere, study anytime, and the content is cutting edge. It's really cutting edge. We spent the last 2 years going through all the subjects in the faculty to bring them up to scratch, so that we can confidently say that these are fully online subjects. Not subjects where you just have PDFs and we put PDFs up and you print those PDFs and you read through. These are fully integrated, fully engaging subjects. Now, if you look at the list of subjects there, it's broad, it's very comprehensive, so it gives you coverage of all key marketing areas. And you will walk out of this degree very confident, safe in the knowledge that you are a marketer and you can tackle anything that they throw at you out there. The focus of all our courses, whether it's the Master Marketing or Jason's IT courses or any of the other ones, the focus of teaching and learning and assessments at CSU is on analyzing and solving real-world challenges. So in this particular course, we're focusing on marketing challenges. And the good thing for, I guess, people like yourself who are already in jobs, you have the ability to tailor in negotiation with your lecturer, to tailor your assessments so that you can investigate specific issues, specific problems at your workplace, and then as part of the assignment, as part of your assignment, to produce a tailored recommendation or solution. So everything is very work integrated, everything is very applied, and everything is very practical. And like Jason mentioned, there are pathways, opportunities into the course. So with the full masters, you do need a completion of an undergraduate degree. But if you haven't got that, don't worry, because we can assess entry based on things like professional attainment, work experience. So come and speak to us before you decide on your own that, no, I probably won't be able to make it, because there are ways of assessing, so that there are ways of assessing to give you the best outcome. I think any questions on the Master of Marketing?
Sorry, Calvin, I had myself on mute, and I had to find the unmute button. This is a, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Yep. This is a question to both you and Jason. Lay asks, if you enroll in a master's but later find that your role or position has varied and find a subject that could be helpful and relevant to your job, can you do a single subject outside the master's degree as single study while continuing your master's?
Jason here, I'll provide my answer to that. I mean, one thing, Lee, we like to do is be as flexible as possible. I mean, yes, you can always do a single subject outside your masters. We'd like to try and let you incorporate it into the masters if that's at all possible. So if you're doing, for example, a Master of Management IT, and there's a subject that you really think is going to be useful to you that's not in that program, then I would encourage you to come and talk to me, to email myself and sort of let me know why you think that's going to be useful to your career, and we'd give you serious consideration to allow you to enrol in that subject as part of your program. So we do certainly allow a little bit of flexibility around the edges. We can't generally let people sort of tinker with core subjects. So the core subjects are the absolutely central subjects of the program, but there is a bit of flexibility with respect to the electives.
I would echo the same as Jason. So if you look at the course structure, the top section, top subjects are compulsory. So the ones where you see the subject code with the number and the subject name, those are compulsory on. But when you get to the bottom where you have the last three subjects are simply called business electives, that's where you can pick anything that you like to study that may have nothing at all to do with marketing. So, if we offered a podiatry course, for example, and that was available and that was useful to you, we could look at using that subject as part of your elective. So it just depends on what's available and what it is that you're trying to achieve. And like Jason said, we always try to be as flexible as possible.
Thanks very much for that. There doesn't seem to be other questions unless the audience has anything further that they would like to add.
No. So Maybe I'll move on to the next one, and then
Yep.
we can come back again if we have a question on the marketing. So the other course that I look after is the Master of Business Leadership, and again come back to the same question of why should I study leadership and why should I enroll in a degree like this? So there was a global study done recently, and it found that Australian workers were the most disengaged from work. Of all the samples that they included in the study, Australian workers were the most disengaged from work. Australian workers were also the most critical of bosses and leadership within their organization. Now, these two findings, these two results are interlinked. So Australian workers are very disengaged from work because they think, or because they feel that the bosses aren't leaders. They're not. The bosses are not providing good leadership. They're not providing good management, and so there is that demotivation that's happening in, I would say, a lot of Australian organizations. And the number one demand from workers, Australian workers, in that study was clear direction and effective leadership. Now, this is, when I read this, I was quite surprised because usually it's things like, you would expect number one demand, I want more money, I want more perks. Or in recent years, it's, I want a better work-life balance. But, in this particular recent study, all those, other reasons have been bumped quite far down the chain, and number one is workers want effective leadership. Now, the reason is that we are now in something called a post-heroic era, and old thinkings about leaders and all leadership practices don't work as well anymore. So if you think about pre and post, I've got those two images there. So on the left, you have the orchestral leader. We call him a maestro. He's always the star. He's always the hero of the production. He knows best. He makes all the decisions. He directs you to do what he wants, and good music comes out. But quintessentially, he is the main star. He is the main hero. It doesn't matter how many people are in his orchestra and his band. It could be 200. It could be more. This maestro is the one that gets the accolades. Is the one that gets the credit for when things go well, when things go bad. Now, on the left, I've got quite a different musical event happening. So this is, I would imagine this to be a jamming session, right? A jazz jamming session where a group of 5 musicians with their various instruments to stand together, they play, and they don't really have, there is a leader in there somewhere, but he or she isn't obvious. And what's happening in that situation, I'm imagining, is that they're all playing together. They're working off each other, they're cooperating, they're harmonizing. And in my mind, that's reflective, that's inclusive, that's facilitative leadership that's happening in that particular situation. The leader is somewhere in there, but we don't really know who he is or who she is. But the music that comes out is fluid. It's dynamic. Can be unexpected, can be innovative, but people will still have a good time, a good experience. So I hopefully that contrast sets the scene in terms of what was old leadership theory to new leadership theory. So in our course, we obviously take a post-heroic approach in content, and we focus on people as coaches, as facilitators rather than heroes. So yeah, you may still be the person identifiable, but in terms of the leadership process, you don't actually direct. You facilitate, you participate, and you include everybody. So it's leading towards a teamwork kind of a setting, a scenario. Whether or not you think that works, I'll leave that up to you. But again, why study this course with us? It's fully online, it's fully flexible, and from 2016 it will have been fully remastered. So we've taken out a lot of the old subjects that make the course look exactly the same as everybody else. Everybody else has an introduction to management. Everybody has a strategy subject. Everybody has a change management subject. We decided no, we're not going to do all of that stuff because they can do that in the MBA. This is a fully leadership course, and so all the subjects that are there, they've been planned around the notion of post-heroic leadership. So in this post-heroic era, what is it that a leader has to do? And so the course has a lot of reflection in it. There's a lot of consideration of a lot of leadership theories, leadership practices. But after all of that, you have to reflect on what's been learned, and that reflection will then get you to interpret and to build your own approach, to build your own style, to build your own leadership style. So you're carrying a post-mortem on yourself all the time. And rather than leading very vague, very amorphous structures like organizations, we don't say organizations anymore because we humanize them. So who are we leading? We're leading individuals, we're leading teams, we're leading groups. And so so the focus is on that kind of work, teamwork, group work, participative methods. It's about coaching rather than dictating. It's about facilitating rather than being authoritative and telling everybody that no, you have to follow my way. So it's really philosophically, it's a brand new course. I think it's very exciting, and I hope I've sold it well or convinced you that to have a second look at it. Again, pathway is available, so come in, even if you don't think you satisfy admission requirements, come and talk to us, and we'll assess your studies and your professional attainment, and we can take it from there. I think one of the subjects that always catches people's eyes, somewhere it's at the bottom, MGT 549, toxic leadership, and here again is a subject that looks at organizations in a very different way. So it looks at the effects that destructive leadership can have in organizations and in groups. It examines behaviors of leaders, and it also examines why organizations actually allow these very, very toxic, very destructive behaviors to continue in the organization. So it draws a lot from psychological, psychoanalytical approaches to understanding, I guess, people's personalities and people's motivations, and then behaviors through those channels. And it's not so much theory-based in the sense that there actually is a practical component, and the practical component is how do you cope with those kind of people. So what are the coping mechanisms available? What are the strategies to tackle and to analyze, to tackle situations where your leadership is neglecting their duty, where your leadership is abusing its power, where your leadership is bullying, and a host of other toxic behaviors that are going on in the organization. So the practical element there is, first we tell you, all the different things about bad leadership, poor leadership, toxic leadership, and then we'll give you the practical applied strategies to deal with and handle those kind of situations. So I find it very engaging because I've been part of the development and reading through all the subjects. It's very intellectually stimulating, and I think in terms of courses, there are not that many business leadership courses in Australia, so have a look at them, have a comparison. I think ours is a little bit, it's a little bit out there, it's a little bit different to what everybody is doing. So I strongly recommend this.
Sorry, can you hear me, Calvin?
Yes.
Yep. Frederick has just asked in regards to your course, so does this course go through understanding personalities to achieve outstanding leadership? You mentioned finding your style, but would you agree that the style to use can be greatly influenced by the types and mix of personalities in the group and team?
Yes, definitely. A lot of it is situational. A lot of that is who you interact with and the kind of situations that you interact with. So, you know, I think one of the subjects deals with one of the contemporary issue and deals with crisis management. So in terms of, you know, when you have crisis, particular crisis occurring, you know, everybody operating at a very heightened state. So you have to your leadership approach accordingly. So there's lots of opportunities for scenario, I guess, analyzing of scenarios and then reflecting on how you know, what you think you would do, and then reflecting on, is that the most effective way of doing it? What else could be done? And is this a single person decision, or should I have included a team? And if I included a team, you know, how would I do that, and what would the outcomes be like? So it's like onions, and you have to peel through many layers to get at what you want.
Excellent. Thank you, Calvin.
So I don't think I have another slide after this. So if there are no other questions, I'll hand back to Margie, maybe.
Yep. So I'll put. This is a question for both you and Jason, I believe. So if you complete an industry certification halfway through your masters, can you put your let me start again. If you complete an industry certification halfway through your masters, can you put in a request for recognised prior learning or credit later, or do these claims must be finalised before starting the degree?
Okay, so thanks for that, Lee. Definitely you can apply and receive credit at any point during the programs. The only thing you need to be wary of is that, for example, if you know you're going to do an industry certification in a specific area, then you would obviously try and avoid that university subject that you're looking to gain credit for. But as far as the timing of that, there's no special time. They don't need to be applied for at the start. It can be any time during the degree.
Sorry, that looks like. Thanks for that, Jason. If there are any other questions in the audience, please put them through now. But yes.
The other thing with our degrees is that because we're all in the same faculty, it's actually easy to jump around. And I don't know whether Jason would mind me saying this, but for example, if you came into the Master of Marketing and you did a couple of subjects and you thought, oh, actually, not quite for me, maybe I should have gone back and done IT, you don't actually have to start from scratch. So go and talk to Jason and describe the situation, and Jason may allow you to use those 2 subjects that you completed in the marketing degree as credits into his degree. So there is that flexibility there to chop and change, to have a look around, because sometimes people don't really know what they want to do until they're actually in it. So, you know, in the undergraduate degree, we have constantly students going from marketing to management to HR and then back to marketing again.
There's a question there from Richard, which I can't resist. He's noticed I have Steam installed. Actually, it's my son who has Steam installed, Richard, but I can always also like to look at it for research, because believe it or not, we have a number of degrees where we do have a gaming component, and I guess it's a bit of a free plug, a segue, but we do have a fairly new degree called the Master of Mobile Applications Development, and there's not really an emphasis, I would say, on games as such, but that program, we're teaching people to program for Apple using Swift, the iOS platform, Android using Java, and Windows, as well as to use cross-platform technology such as Xamarin. So that particular course is a new one, and it does occasionally require some investigation of trends, such as being able to muck around with Unity, for example, the game engine. So if I have those installed on my machine, I can always say it's for work research purposes.
And as Richard has just pointed out as well, if you haven't been to the IT Masters website recently, we have a free short course coming up in January, which is basically a taster of the subject that Jason has just mentioned. That will be starting mid-January, but you can definitely sign up now. We're very excited for it. We've got some surprises coming up, but I can't say more, so please definitely check it out.
I wonder if I can be presumptuous and just kind of get an indication. Obviously, for us, this is a marketing sort of initiative. An indication from people whether they are sort of seriously thinking about any of these courses and which ones. Maybe you could just type it into the questions window, or whether it's no go, that what we've spoken about here tonight doesn't interest you. I guess from our point of view, that kind of feedback would be quite interesting.
So Stephen has just mentioned that he's interested in the grad cert in marketing.
Okay. I mean, I'd suggest, Stephen, you do give Calvin a ring, because definitely, I mean, shop around, but maybe a chat with Calvin about our grad cert in marketing might be the way forward, at least to get the CSU perspective a little bit more closely.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely shop around. So with something like the Master of Marketing, there will be quite a few universities with similar products. So have a look at the topics that they cover, the subjects that they cover, and do your homework that way. So I guess the main thing for us is that we're fully online, so there is that flexibility to do your studies at any time, any place. There are no res schools. There are no compulsory res schools. You don't ever have to step foot on a campus if you didn't want to. Having said that, you're always welcome to come and talk to our lecturers face to face. That's not a problem.
Okay, so Richard, you went from the mobile programming MOOC into the MBA via the grad cert, it sounds like. So that's excellent.
Alexandra has just asked a question about another free short course. Yes, we do have two planned. So we've got one starting in November called Cybersecurity Management. That one will be hosted by Jeremy Costa, who is one of our mentors. He teaches our main subject, IT 514 Professional System Security, which prepares you for the CISP. So that's starting in November. You can enroll in it right now. It's on the IT Masters website. It's basically, it will give you a high-level view of the security needs of an organization. We don't have anything planned in December, really, because the cybersecurity one will cut through into it, and also I doubt anyone really wants to be studying during Christmas and New Year's. But after that, like I mentioned before, we have the games, the games short course, Mobile Games Development with Unity. That will be hosted by Jamie Bentley and Steve Gregory. Steve is currently one of our mentors as well. He's also hosted one of our other MOOCs, which I believe was the, I've had a mind blank, sorry about that. Might have been the Windows Phone 8 development. So we've got those two short courses lined up. Very exciting. We're really pumped. You should definitely check them out. They're both free. If you sign up and don't want to commit, the webinars will be available after that.
Looks like we might be out of questions, Margie, so.
Yeah, we can probably call it there. Unless you or Calvin or Andrew have anything further to add.
No, I was just looking at Alexander's. The bottom one says, so its bottom one looks as though we haven't actually answered your question.
Apologies.
Yeah. Would you like to go, Margie?
Sorry. We currently don't have plans to redo the digital marketing short course just yet, just because we have the next 2 short courses that I mentioned lined up. But if you do have any further suggestions for marketing courses, please feel free to direct them to IT Masters. We are more than happy to take on any suggestions and ideas for future short courses.
Andrew is actually running the full digital marketing course in summer. So if you would like to do that as a single subject study, that's also possible through CSU.
It could be a good taster, and then if you get to save the money as well in your future enrollments, it's quite valuable, isn't it?
Yeah. If you did the single subject study, the full subject, then that would be credit bearing for when you go on to sign up for the main course.
Okay, I guess just from me, if we're looking for a summary, I always say, if in doubt, always contact us. So we've presented a few courses here tonight. They're certainly just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the programs that we have available. Certainly in IT, we have a host of other different courses available in security and networking, project management and mobile application development, to name a few. So please, if you haven't seen the course tonight that you're interested in, but you do want to study further, please get in touch with one of us. Always happy to hear from potential students. And again, if there's a course tonight that you have further questions about, please don't hesitate to drop us an email. Always happy to hear from prospective students. And I look forward to seeing some of you as future Charles Sturt students. It would be great.